The first moment was the sound of my daughter crying softly beside me before dawn. Her tears were quiet, like she did not want to wake the world. The second moment came minutes later, when I felt a deep fear in my chest for no clear reason, as if my heart already knew that something terrible was waiting for us that day. I was a Muslim woman from Somalia, a mother trying to survive, trying to believe, trying to protect my child with the little strength I had left. Life had not been kind to us. My husband had died years earlier during unrest in our town, and since then, my 12-year-old daughter and I lived on help from others. We moved often, slept in places that never truly felt safe, and depended on the kindness of religious leaders and neighbors. I prayed often, fasted faithfully, and tried to teach my daughter to trust Allah even when our stomachs were empty. Faith was the only thing I felt I still owned. That morning, we were invited into the mosque by an Imam who had always spoken gently to us. He said he noticed how tired we looked and wanted to help. Inside the mosque, the air was cool and quiet. The walls smelled of old rugs and incense. My daughter sat close to me, holding my hand tightly. The Imam offered us coffee, warm and sweet. I hesitated for a short moment, but hunger and trust pushed my fear aside. We drank. Not long after, my head felt heavy. The room began to turn slowly, like the ground was moving under my feet. My daughter leaned on me, whispering that she felt strange. The last thing I remember clearly was trying to stand and failing. Then darkness came. When I woke up, my body felt broken inside. My head was pounding, my mouth was dry, and my heart was racing. We were still inside the mosque, but something felt very wrong. My daughter was shaking, confused, and scared. I pulled her close, my arms weak, my mind struggling to understand what had happened. Shame washed over me, followed by fear and anger. I kept asking myself how trust could turn into danger so quickly. That day marked the beginning of a long journey I never planned. It was the first crack in the wall of certainty I had built around my faith. I did not lose belief that day, but I lost peace. Something inside me began to ask questions I was never allowed to ask. I did not know it then, but this moment would slowly lead me toward a path that would change my life forever. After that day in the mosque, nothing felt the same inside me. I returned to my small room with my daughter, but my body was home while my heart was far away. I washed myself many times, as if water could remove the heavy feeling that stayed on my skin. My daughter did not speak much. She only watched me with eyes that looked older than her age. Every time she flinched or woke up from sleep crying, my chest tightened with pain. I tried to pray like before. I stood on my mat, bowed, and recited the words I had known since childhood. But my mouth moved while my heart stayed silent. Questions began to grow inside me, slow and dangerous. I asked myself why a place meant to be holy could become a place of harm. I wondered why my prayers had not protected us. I was afraid of these thoughts, so I pushed them down and told myself I was weak. People around us noticed the change. Some whispered. Some avoided us. No one asked what really happened. In our culture, silence is often chosen over truth, especially when truth brings shame. I carried that shame alone. I blamed myself for accepting the coffee, for trusting, for being poor and desperate. At night, when my daughter slept, I cried quietly so she would not hear. My health also began to fail. I felt dizzy often, and my chest hurt without warning. I visited local healers who gave me herbs and words of comfort, but nothing touched the deep wound inside me. I fasted more, hoping discipline would bring clarity. Instead, the emptiness grew. I felt like I was speaking to the sky and hearing nothing back. One afternoon, my daughter asked me a question that cut deeply. She asked if God was angry with us. I did not know how to answer. I held her close and told her God sees everything, but my voice was unsure. That night, I asked God to show me truth, even if it frightened me. I did not know I was opening a door that would never close again. From that moment, small changes began around us. People we had never spoken to before crossed our path. Conversations I once avoided found me. I felt watched, not by people, but by something gentle and patient. It did not force me, but it did not leave me either. I was standing at the edge of something new, though I could not yet see its shape. Weeks passed, and the weight inside me did not lift. One evening, while returning from the market with my daughter, we took shelter from the rain under a small shop roof. That was where I first noticed the woman. She was older than me, gentle in speech, and she greeted my daughter with warmth. She did not ask many questions, but she looked at me as if she understood pain without words. She offered us dry bread and waited until we finished eating before speaking again. She said she met women like me often, women carrying silent wounds. Her words were simple, but they stayed with me. Before leaving, she told me that when her own life was broken, she cried out to God in a way she never had before, and help came from a place she did not expect. I did not ask her what she meant. Fear held my tongue. But that night, as my daughter slept, her words returned to me. I felt tired of carrying everything alone. I whispered a prayer, not in the usual way, but from a place of deep honesty. I asked God to reveal what I could not see and to guide me where I could not go on my own. That night, something happened that I cannot fully explain. I did not see a clear image, but I felt a presence that was calm and strong at the same time. It did not accuse me or remind me of my failures. Instead, it brought a sense of safety I had not felt in years. In my heart, He revealed to me that I was not forgotten and that my pain mattered. When I woke up, the fear was still there, but it was weaker. I felt a strange peace mixed with confusion. I did not tell anyone what I experienced, not even my daughter. I was afraid of misunderstanding it, afraid of what it might mean. But from that day, my heart became restless. The questions I once feared now demanded answers. I began to notice things I had ignored before. I noticed kindness that did not ask for anything in return. I noticed joy in people who had very little. I noticed that truth could sometimes come quietly without force. These observations stirred something new inside me, something that felt like hope but also like risk. I did not know it yet, but my journey had already shifted direction. The path ahead would challenge everything I believed, but it would also begin to heal what was broken. After that night, my thoughts became crowded. I tried to focus on daily life, but my mind kept returning to the calm presence I had felt. One afternoon, while my daughter was at a neighbor's home, I met the same woman again. This time she invited me to sit with her. We talked about suffering, about loss, about how faith can feel distant when life becomes heavy. She listened more than she spoke. Before we parted, she carefully wrapped a small book in cloth and placed it in my hands. My heart jumped in fear even before I saw what it was. I knew this book. It was the one I was warned never to touch, never to read, never to question. She did not push me. She only said that when she felt lost, the words inside helped her understand God's heart. I hid the book under my clothes and hurried home. My hands shook as I locked the door. I sat on the floor for a long time, staring at it without opening it. I was afraid of punishment, afraid of betrayal, afraid of losing my identity. Yet I was also curious in a way I had never allowed myself to be. That night, after my daughter slept, I opened the book slowly. I did not understand everything. Some words felt strange, but others felt gentle and clear. I read about love, about forgiveness, about a God who draws close to the broken. As I read, He let me know that faith was not meant to be built on fear alone. I stopped many times, listening to my heartbeat, expecting something terrible to happen. But instead, I felt warmth in my chest, like light entering a dark room little by little. I cried quietly, not from sadness, but from relief. It felt like someone was speaking to the part of me that had been silent for years. I closed the book before dawn and hid it again. Guilt followed me through the next day, but so did peace. I found myself thinking about mercy more than rules, about relationship more than duty. I did not yet call myself anything different, but something inside me was changing. This book did not pull me away from God as I had been warned. Instead, it pushed me closer to a truth I had never known how to name. Not long after I started reading the book in secret, I noticed changes in my daughter. She became quieter, but not in a fearful way. She began asking questions that surprised me. She asked why some people could forgive even when deeply hurt. She asked why kindness sometimes felt stronger than anger. I did not know how to answer her because I was asking the same questions inside my own heart. One evening, she told me she had a dream. In the dream, she said she was lost in a wide open place, crying and calling for help. Then she said someone came close to her, not rushing, not shouting, but calm. She said this presence made her feel safe and told her inside her heart that she was not alone. As she spoke, her eyes filled with tears, but her face was peaceful. I felt my hands tremble as I listened. I did not correct her or explain it away. I only held her close. In that moment, I felt fear and hope together. I feared what this could mean for our lives, but I also felt comfort knowing that whatever was touching my heart was also reaching my child. Her behavior began to change in small ways. She became more patient with other children. She shared food even when we had little. When she prayed, her prayers sounded different, less like memorized words and more like honest speech. Watching her made me reflect on my own heart. I realized that faith should not make a child carry fear too heavy for her age. I continued reading the book, slowly and carefully. I did not rush. I read only what my heart could carry. Each time, he revealed to me more about love that does not force, truth that does not crush, and guidance that does not confuse. I began to understand that God was not distant. He was near, even in suffering. At the same time, danger began to feel closer. I became more careful with my words outside. I hid the book better. I warned my daughter not to speak openly about her thoughts. This double life tired me deeply, but I could not turn back. The truth I was beginning to see felt too real to ignore. I knew a choice was forming in front of me, one that would cost me much. I prayed for strength, not knowing yet how much strength I would need. As the days went by, fear followed me everywhere. It walked beside me in the market. It sat with me when I cooked. It lay down with me at night and woke up before I did. I feared being discovered. I feared losing the little help we received. I feared what people would do if they knew my heart was changing. I began to notice how quickly love could turn into hatred when belief was questioned. I heard stories of women chased away, beaten, or worse, just for being suspected. Each story pressed my heart harder. Sometimes I told myself to stop reading, to forget everything, to return to the way things were before the mosque incident. But every time I tried, the emptiness returned stronger than before. One night as I sat alone, shaking with fear, I cried silently. I told God that I was tired. I admitted that I did not know how to be brave. In that quiet moment, He revealed to me that fear was not meant to rule my life. He let me know that truth does not disappear just because it is hidden. I did not hear a voice, but I felt courage rise gently inside me, like a small flame refusing to go out. My daughter sensed my struggle. She began holding my hand more often. Sometimes she would say simple words like "everything will be fine," and I wondered how a child could speak with such calm. I realized that whatever path we were not walking alone. Soon, pressure came from outside. The Imam sent someone to ask why we had stopped attending the mosque regularly. Neighbors watched us more closely. I felt trapped, like walls were closing in. I prayed more than ever, not out of habit, but out of need. I asked for wisdom, for protection, and for direction. Deep inside, I knew that staying silent forever was not possible. A decision was approaching, and it would change everything about our lives. The day I finally understood that I could not live divided inside came quietly. There was no loud sign, no sudden event. I was washing clothes by hand while my daughter played nearby. As I watched her, I thought about the kind of future she deserved. I knew she deserved a life built on truth, not fear, even if that truth came with pain. That afternoon, I took the book out again and read slowly. The words felt clearer than before. He let me know that following truth would not always be easy, but it would lead to life. I realized that belief was not only about tradition or place of birth. It was about the heart's response to what is right. This understanding shook me deeply. Later that evening, I knelt beside my sleeping daughter and prayed with honesty. I told God that I was ready to follow wherever He led, even if I was afraid. I did not know all the steps ahead, but I knew I could no longer pretend. In that moment, peace filled me in a way I had never experienced. It felt firm, not fragile. From that day, I stopped hiding from myself. I was still careful around others, but inside, my choice was made. I believed that Jesus was the one through whom God had revealed love and truth to me. I did not say it loudly, but my heart had already crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. Soon after, hardship followed quickly. Help we once received stopped. People became cold. Some spoke harsh words. My daughter was mocked by other children. Each pain cut deep, but even in tears, I felt strengthened. He reminded me inside that suffering does not mean abandonment. We found support in unexpected places. A small group of believers welcomed us quietly and carefully. They did not promise ease. They promised prayer, love, and truth. For the first time, I felt part of a family not built on fear. This choice cost me safety, but it gave me life. After my decision, life did not become easier, but it became clearer. Each day felt like learning to walk again after being wounded. I had to unlearn many things and learn new ones slowly. The small group of believers met quietly, often in different places. They welcomed my daughter and me with care, knowing the danger around us. They taught me how to pray in a new way, not with fear of making mistakes, but with trust. I learned that prayer could sound like a conversation, not a test. When we read the Bible together, they explained patiently, using simple words. I began to understand that God desired a relationship, not forced obedience. He revealed to me that love was the foundation of everything. My daughter adjusted faster than I did. She listened closely, asked questions, and remembered lessons easily. Watching her grow in peace gave me strength. I realized that even though I had failed to protect her in the past, God was now covering her in ways I could not. There were days when hunger returned, when fear knocked loudly, when loneliness felt heavy. But even then, I felt supported inside. I no longer felt abandoned in suffering. I felt guided through it. When I was weak, He let me know that strength could exist even in trembling. I also learned forgiveness, something I thought was impossible. The pain from the mosque still lived in me, but it no longer controlled me. I did not excuse what happened, but I released the anger slowly. I understood that holding bitterness would only keep me tied to the past. My faith was no longer hidden only in fear. It was growing roots. Quietly, carefully, and deeply. Time passed, and my faith was tested in ways I did not expect. One morning, I was confronted by relatives who had heard rumors about me. Their words were sharp, full of anger and disappointment. They accused me of betrayal and dishonor. I listened silently, my hands shaking, my heart pounding. I did not defend myself with arguments. Inside, He reminded me to remain calm and truthful. After they left, I broke down. The pain of being rejected by my own blood felt heavier than hunger or fear. My daughter held me as I cried, whispering that we would be okay. In that moment, I realized how much she had grown. Her faith, once fragile, had become steady. Life became simpler and harder at the same time. We moved again, living quietly, working small jobs, depending on God daily. Yet there was joy in small things. Shared meals, gentle prayers, and moments of laughter carried deep meaning. I learned that victory does not always look loud. Sometimes it looks like endurance. I began to help other women quietly, listening to their pain, sharing hope without force. I did not argue or attack their beliefs. I only spoke about what God had done in my life. Some listened. Some walked away. I learned to accept both. Through every test, He continued to reveal to me that faith grows strongest in honesty. I no longer felt the need to prove anything. I only needed to remain faithful. I have learned that following Jesus does not mean a life without trouble. It means a life with purpose, even in trouble. There were days I wanted to turn back, days I felt alone, days I questioned if the cost was too high. But each time, He let me know that I was not walking alone. His guidance came gently, often through people, sometimes through quiet understanding, always through love. If you are afraid, know that courage does not mean absence of fear. It means choosing truth even while trembling. If you are tired, know that God gives rest to those who lean on Him. If you are wounded, know that healing takes time, but it comes. My life was changed not by force, but by love revealed through Jesus. And that love continues to carry me forward. Hold on to God. Walk humbly. Pray constantly. Study His word faithfully. And above all, love one another, because that is how the world will know the truth.